Oh hey, how you doing, Hugh? Yeah, I'm a bit hatched off. What, hatched off? You mean hacked off? No, hatched off. It's a thing.
When we bought this boat, we quickly realised that when it rained, it also rained inside. This was in part the leaky deck, fittings and tow rail. Whilst we have dealt with these, the other ingress was the hatches. The boat came with 4 seriously heavy-duty traditional Gebo hatches, but they leaked terribly, so we had to decide what to do. Refurbishment was the obvious solution, but their leaking ability wasn't the only thing that we disliked about them. To open these hatches and keep them in a locked open position took strength and coordination. They have old-fashioned stays, which need to be screwed into place, something that only an adult could achieve. We have 3 small children, and on every boat that we have sailed, their favourite thing to do is to climb in and out of the hatches pretending to be pirates. This meant that the leaky hatches were also a finger-trapping, head-bashing health and safety nightmare. We could of course just ban all games of piracy hatch clambering altogether, but where's the fun in that? So it was decided that we would need some modern, ocean-grade, lightweight, gas hinge opening hatches. Sounds simple enough. On Esperance we have 4 hatches, 2 50cm port and starboard, a 60cm aft, and a whopping great big custom 80cm in the bow. These are their cut dimensions, the size of the hole in the bare deck. We took the plunge and bought 2 of the Bainbridge hatches for the port and starboard cabins. We had used this brand in our Dutch barge and we were impressed. With the new hatches in hand, Hugh was able to figure out how he was going to retrofit them into Esperance's existing frames. This required some head scratching, as the new units were flange fit and had a different internal radius from the originals. In the end, the original frame was so worn that Hugh had to pretty much rebuild both hatch surrounds. A week later, and Hugh was able to fit the hatches. They worked, they were watertight, they look fab, and most importantly, they are safe for the kids. Win. However, the bad news was that the 50cm, called the Storm Hatch 60, is the largest in the Bainbridge range. So we had to look elsewhere. Many companies made models with a 62cm cutout, and some of them said that they would make a custom 80cm if we were required, but the cost was still too big an obstacle. So Hugh spent time, energy and a bit more money trying to service and repair and upgrade our existing hatches to make them what we wanted. A few more weeks of effort, thought and worry, and Hugh finally gave up and we decided to buy new. We looked at a number of brands, but mainly Vitus, Gebo and Lewmar. We decided on Lewmar. Although a more expensive option, they seemed sturdier, stronger, and they looked more like the Bainbridge ones that we already had. But more importantly, they said that they could make a custom Ocean 80 that would fit our 4-deck cutout frame. So we took the plunge and placed the orders. Hugh then discovered that Gebo would also make a custom hatch this big. Cue yet more indecision and buyer's regret and backtracking conversations from Hugh. However, I kept him on the straight and narrow. We had placed our order, we had done it for the right reasons, and it would mean that we could fit and forget and move on. Some weeks later, the new hatches arrived. The big one was massive, but as Hugh took it out the box, he realised that the new Ocean 80 only had 1 gas hinge. In the Lewmar range, as the hatches get bigger, the number of gas hinges increases. The Ocean 60 has 2, the Ocean 70 3, the Ocean 77 has 4, but the custom-built Ocean 80, our hatch, only had 1. What? This was very odd, and it meant that despite the huge investment, this hatch did not operate like every other hatch in the range. When it was open, it would not stay open. Hugh then spent 2 weeks on email and phone calls with Lewmar. The customer service was great, and they took our issue very seriously. They made lots of suggestions, and in the end, a lovely chap called Bob made a special visit to Esperance to discuss our problem. Bob brought with him 3 sets of hatch stays for us to play with. However, ultimately, after another week of head scratching and soul searching, we decided that the makeshift solution just wasn't good enough. The hatch stays that Bob recommended were not the easy solution after all. They needed to be adjusted manually to hold each hatch open, and that opening the hatch would still become at least a 2-handed job and fingers could still be squashed. As we said, despite losing a little faith in the quality of Lewmar products, their customer service was excellent, and they agreed to allow us to return the hatch. After yet more debate and research, Hugh took the decision to stick with Lewmar and order the Ocean 77. This was a much smaller hatch. It would reduce the amount of light coming in and would require a massive amount of work building a whole new frame on the deck from scratch. However, it would solve the problem and we could get on with our lives. A few more weeks of messing around and hey presto, 2 fully functioning Lewmar hatches.
Quick real-time test. It's raining outside. I won't say tipping it down, but it's definitely stormy and rainy. And it's dry. Yes.
That was last week. This week, however,
it's been a bit of a long-winded narrative with these bloody hatches. And what did I get in the night? Can you see it? It's dripping on the inside. It dripped on me all night. I'm so annoyed because like I went through a massive faffing long hatch journey, and after all the faffing we bit the bullet and spent right, we're going to spend proper money, get some proper new decent hatches, solve all these problems, and the problems keep coming. And then I thought, well, the problems were solved, and there's another problem. This is where things like, where's time's gone? I mean, that's a lot of money for that hatch, a lot. And that's not my seal around the edge, that's not me installation, that is coming through the top, it's coming through a joint in the hinge, I can see it. That is a very well respected top-end marine brand hatch that represents considerable investment for us, and it's leaking straight onto our bed. But when he came and visited, he made out like it was just a massive job. Made out like, you know, it's basically impossible and we're pushing the laws of what's physically possible with material. I mean, they're made so thin and flimsy, which is that's lightweight because they're going to race them. The boats are going to be racing, so it can't add a single extra gram of weight. Like, we send people to the moon, well, we haven't done that for a while, but like, think of all the technological achievements in engineering that are just vast. You know, think of the machinery that can ship ships, lift up heavy things, and we can't cope with the leverage from a 70 centimetre hatch that weighs a couple of kilograms. I'm not impressed enough. That's what it comes down to. Feels like the company knows the design's not good enough. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like the guy who came to see me knows the design's not good enough, but they're still in production, and it's without serious investment from the company to improve the design, things aren't going to change. And why do they need to change? Because they're good enough. Just. They can manage the quality control issues, they can manage customer complaints, they can just about survive in the marketplace due to the strength of their brand. But then you get these other ones, these Bainbridge ones that come in, and they're better. They're just better. And I know they're going to say about the size, because the Bainbridge are in 60s, whereas I've got 17 and 80, so it's like, and the guy did say to me, the problem is once you start getting into the 60s, these problems start occurring. I get that. But the Bainbridge feels solid, it feels chunky, it's thicker, heavier. I bet if they upscaled that to 1780, it'd be fine. Here is the offending hatch. Definitely leaking around this joint here. So here it's the top side of the hinge. Here is another issue though, and this is something I really got a gripe with. When he came to see me, the chap described, he said, the strength is not in the frame, the strength is in the boat. They designed these so that structurally they are not enough on their own. The point is, the structure, the strength in the frame comes from the boat in which they're installed, the frame, the carcass which they're installed into, which I don't like at all. I really don't like. And you can see that, and nothing more example here, because I haven't actually silicone this in, I've only put seals. And it wouldn't be the same, it'd be the same anyway, because I've followed the instructions. right, you can still see this. I'm still within installation instructions for what I've done. And the tolerance, you know, I've left a gap. You're supposed to leave between 1 and 3 mil gap all the way around. To stop this in, I've left between 0.5 mil and 1 mil. It's tight as. Okay, and then if you look at this edge here, what we're looking at now is we're going to look at the movement. This is all condensation, by the way. We're going to look at the movement on this leading edge here as I open and shut the hatch. Okay, can you get this shot? So I'm opening and shutting the hatch. There, like that. And as we zoom in, whilst I'm doing that, you see quite how flimsy that material, just bending. It's just naff. How the movement is trashing the paintwork that I spent hours and days on, and the fact that the one on the back leaks. Come on, marine world, do better. I'm gonna have to do it myself, aren't I? I'm gonna have to reinvent a load of bloody hatches, start a fucking company, years of bloody stress just to. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to go sailing. I want to be like those people who just dick around in the Caribbean, jumping off their boat.
And then something happened which confirmed that despite all of the hassle, everything we had been through, we had made the right decision.
So despite all my complaints about the new hatches, we had a moment just this week. This is like Crime Watch now. This is like a replication. We're going to replicate the scene because we didn't actually catch it on footage, so we're going to replicate it. My daughter, my 6-year-old, was bouncing around playing on this bed, and I had left that hatch propped open with a stick. Reason being is even though I have set these gas spring strut thingamajigs before, the tension obviously wasn't quite enough on them. And she was prattling around. This happened, as you might have guessed, right? And our 6-year-old didn't get her fingers trapped by a big heavy hatch. Because even though the gas struts on these things were not set perfectly, there's still plenty of resistance in them. The hatch didn't come down heavy.